I'll continue to watch that. I did finish all of season 2 of The Toys That Made Us.
Oh, okay. I'm halfway through it. I've watched Star Trek and Transformers.
Yeah, Transformers one is good. Actually really liked the Star Trek one.
It was okay.
Well, I mean, it's interesting to see it from the other side of this is something that really didn't do well. And also the Mego guy, who's kind of a greaseball.
Whatever. I mean, how could he have known anything different?
Yeah. Well, he was also a criminal. He did go to prison.
Well, sure, but who hasn't?
Are these stories interwoven at all? Can I watch them out of order? Is there any?
You could watch them out of order. Yeah, no, it wouldn't make a difference. I don't know why. I mean, they're fine. They're all interesting. Just because I know you're more interested in Transformers doesn't mean you wouldn't like.
The Transformer one's really good. It could have been about 3 hours longer.
Yeah, it could have. That one definitely could have been longer. They do a decent job with that, and they also do a good job with. I'm trying to think what the other ones were.
Lego and Hello Kitty.
Oh yeah, no, actually, Lego was fine. Sanrio was also that one was pretty good. The first two are the strongest.
Yeah, and I came into the Transformers one knowing probably 90% of what they.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that either. It's nice to see them do it. Oh, here's the thing, and I didn't put this on the list. There's also that Funko documentary that came out. And to watch, and I didn't finish it. I made it about maybe halfway through before I was like, this is boring as hell. The people that made this don't know how to make an interesting documentary. And then the next day, season 2 of The Toys That Made Us came out. And it's like you watch that and then you watch Funko and you're like, wow, these people really dropped the ball. It's crazy how bad that is. So don't watch that.
The toys are also not as good as Transformers.
I mean, the beginnings of the company is sort of interesting, but yeah.
Like, I'm a big G.I. Joe guy, of course, but Transformers are really like the greatest toys ever.
Well, I mean,
as far as like being able to appreciate like what in the world these like how complicated these toys are.
I mean, maybe from an engineering standpoint, but
exactly.
You could say the similar things about Legos. I mean, some of those Lego sets that are more complicated than others, the fact that someone designed that is some pretty.
It's not as cool as Transformers to me.
Also, Transformers. You have to remember that the Transformers, they were very playable in that you could transform. Like the ones today, forget about it. I've tried to play with them, tried to transform them in a reasonable amount of time, and I don't think it's really possible. But the ones back then. You could do it. Like, I mean, maybe not the gigantic ones, but pretty much any size one, you could be playing with them and go, I'm going to be a jet. I'm going to be a robot. And for the most part, you could do it in a reasonable amount of time.
I guess Transformers just never really did it for me. I mean, I like the episode and I like Transformers. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm not dead.
On Team Transformers with Shipwreck.
I think Legos are. I think the more complicated Lego sets are more impressive than the more complicated Transformers. But opinions are opinions.
No, well, it's the ease. Like it's not. It doesn't have to be a complicated Transformer. It can be something like Optimus Prime is not what I would say is a complicated.
No, he's not a particularly complicated. He's cool.
That's a really cool toy.
Yeah, but so is a Lego Millennium Falcon.
Okay, you're comparing him to a 1,500 piece Lego set.
Well, that's what I was saying. I was saying the engineering that goes into creating those complex Lego sets is
probably a computer that does it automatically.
No, there's a person that does it.
And he pushes a button and he looks at it and goes, maybe I'll move this here.
I said the same thing about Transformers.
In 1980?
In 80? That's the part that I wish they got into more detail on in this show, because they showed the wood that they were carving him out of and everything.
Wow.
But I wanted to see okay, are they doing equations to get clearances here, or were they just trial and erroring all this stuff? Because to figure out how stuff twisted around and snapped into place, and it had to fit together well enough, and the joints had to be strong enough that it's not flopping everywhere. But it still had to be where you could move it and adjust it and everything. It's a very complicated thing. Especially to get it right back then.
Stop the hate, Wombat. Wombat's a Decepticon.
I didn't say that. I didn't disagree with anything you said.
Shipwreck.
I don't recall the disagreement part.
Transform and roll out. We're leaving Wombat behind.